And it's time for the Bob Lonsberry Show on News Radio, Wham 1180, with guest host Megan Fox.
Good morning, Rochester. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio, Wham 1180. I'm so happy to be here with you today. A little bit about me. I'm a columnist at PJ Media, and you can see my columns on pjmedia.com. It's where I suggest you get your news, of course, after you check the Wham 1180 website. And, I'm also an author. I wrote a book. The book is called, I have a couple, but the newest one is called Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process, From Salome to #MeToo, which talks about the problems that we have in this country with due process going away because of the Me Too movement, where we have women accusing men of 30-year-old crimes with no evidence. And that is a problem. And, my book explores why we should believe evidence over women, because women do lie. It's hard to believe, I know, but it does happen. And in my book, you can find it on Amazon. It is on paperback or Kindle, and it's a very good price, too. So get on Amazon and get that today. It's called Believe Evidence. And so I was in Chicago recently. I'm from Chicago, and I took my kids on a vacation there to see friends and family. And boy, I got to tell you, for the first time since moving here 3 years ago, on my way back, I really discovered that I actually love New York. I didn't think that would ever happen. Because, it's tough for people from Chicago. They think Chicago's the only city in the whole world that could be good. And what I discovered is that the weather in Illinois is absolutely horrific. I was used to it because I grew up there, but my goodness, the humidity, my internal body temperature was like 3,000 degrees for the entire week I was there. Seeing friends was so great. But boy, I do not miss the humidity and the heat in Chicago. I came over the border from Pennsylvania to New York, and the temperature dropped like 10 degrees. It was just so fabulous. It's like 75 and beautiful. And this morning I woke up and needed a sweater. You people are so lucky. You have no idea. It's so beautiful here. The weather is just perfect in the summer. And now I actually was chilly this morning. So, and speaking of Chicago, I guess I'm lucky I made it back alive, because just this week, I don't know if you know this, but 51 people were shot in Chicago and 6 were killed. Although Kamala Harris is not on Twitter freaking out about it and blaming the president, I'm not sure why. Apparently, it's okay when people in Chicago get shot, but if people in a Walmart in Texas get shot, it's all over the news for indefinite time, and everyone's to blame, including you sitting in your car going to work. You're to blame too, because you voted for the wrong guy. And so, it's your fault that some maniac went into a Walmart and shot it up. But whose fault is it when 51 people were killed just this week in Chicago? Whose fault is that? Is anybody assigning any blame? So today on the program, we're going to talk about blame, the blame game. Who are we blaming for which murders? Because only some murders seem to matter. And where is Black Lives Matter, by the way, in Chicago? There's 82% of the shootings in Chicago kill black people. But Black Lives Matter is nowhere to be found. And, while I admire what Black Lives Matter does sometimes, because I do, I think they have a legitimate claim, in some cases, of police brutality, some cases. And I think that it's good that they bring attention to it. But where are they when black people are shooting black people in Chicago at a rate of 51 per week? 51 people. So, I mean, my God, year to date, news and weather is coming up next on News Radio Wham 1180. Welcome back to the Bob Lonsberry Show on News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media. We were talking about Chicago and all the people who are getting shot there, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Year to date, check this out, 1,659 people have been shot just in 2019, just since January. Year's not over yet. 307 of those have been killed. 91% of all the murders in Chicago are gunshots. It's so bad that we have a website that follows the kill count in Chicago. They highlight Shootapalooza. You know what Shootapalooza is? It's a festival in Chicago where you go out to get your groceries and you get shot. It's a daily thing every weekend. And guess what? Tonight's Friday, and so the kill count's going to go up because every weekend in Chicago, that's what happens. I think we'll go to the phones right now because Jay is on the phone. He wants to comment on the Walmart shooter. Go ahead, Jay. You're on Wham 1180.
Hey, Megan. I just wanted to, ask a question. Why isn't the fact that the Walmart shooter was stopped last night by a concealed carry pistol permit holder ever mentioned at all in any of this? It's like the media doesn't want to acknowledge that someone who actually was carrying a gun legally was the one who actually stopped this mass shooting.
Jay, I am the media, and I didn't even know that. So they keep it under wraps because nobody wants you to know. I mean, of course not, because you can't be a good guy with a gun. Guns are bad, people. Guns are bad. You have to melt them all down. That's what we are being told. And, it's not a lighthearted thing. And here's the thing. If anybody tells you they know what the reason is for mass shootings, they're lying or they're stupid. Nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. And you cannot say mass shootings happen because this one thing. It's got to be a combination of a lot of different things. And if we knew this, we could stop it, but we don't. Nobody knows. Kamala Harris doesn't know. Chuck Schumer doesn't know. Joe Biden certainly doesn't know. And the fake Hispanic guy running for president, the guy Beto O'Rourke, he doesn't know either. And if he tries to tell you that he knows, which he does think he knows, he's lying. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. We'll be back after this. 1180. Welcome back to the Bob Lonsberry Show on News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, and on the phone we have the man himself. Bob's going to tell us what he's up to. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
Good.
I apologize for intruding on your program, and I apologize for the noise in the background. We're out here at Monroe and Alexander, a whole bunch of officers from the Rochester Police Department. And here in the background, looks like Engine 1's going to go out and do the work of the Lord here. They're heading out lights and sirens at the fire station here. But these officers are collecting money for the Special Olympics. And the purpose of this chit-chat is to implore folks who may be listening to drive past Monroe and Alexander and drop off a little bit of money. The Special Olympics, of course, does so much good. There are other places around the community where other law enforcement officers are collecting money, but there is a competition going on, and if you donate money here, it will help the cops with whom I'm working, and we will be big winners, and that will be really good for us. I'm going to walk, and I apologize for intruding on your broadcast, ma'am, but I'm going to walk across this lane of traffic here, try not to get killed. Again,
careful,
Main and
Bob.
Alexander. Hey, Frank, I need to grab you, buddy. Main and Alexander, stop out, and there's a judge who's just stopped out to make a personal donation. Yeah. Frank, you tell people what's going on, please.
Hey, Bob. Hey, thanks for joining us out here. Right now it's Monroe and Alexander, Dunkin' Donuts. We're collecting for our athletes in Special Olympics. And once again, we're humbled by the generosity of everybody here in Rochester that's come out to support this cause. We have our traffic unit out here. We have the Mounted Patrol is on the way. We got an Animal Act with our canine unit. We've got a guy juggling fire here. And we've got one of my favorite acts here, Miss Corey Pales, one of our star athletes, our gold medalist athletes. And I'm going to hand it over to her, actually, Bob. She can really tell you what this is all about.
Frank, you're supposed to put your mouth near the mouthpiece on the phone. One last thing, Mrs. Fox, then we'll get off the air and you can get back to your show. Hey, Corey, tell us what's going on here.
We're doing a fundraiser for Special Olympics to benefit the athletes to participate in sports.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Ms. Fox, thanks so much. Have a great program. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Bob. All right, sounds like a great event. So that's down at Monroe and Alexander. You can go see Bob Lonsberry down there. So before the break, we were talking about Chicago and the crazy death rate there that nobody seems to care about. and I certainly don't see any politicians blaming Trump for that. But of course, if you look too closely at these places with very, very high murder rates, they are all inner cities and they are all run by Democrats. And they've been run by Democrats for a very, very long time. I mean, look at the Baltimore situation, rat infested, crime infested, and it's run completely by Democrats. So, there's just a lot of double standards going on here. Not that mass shootings are not a terrible thing, but no one has the answer on why they do it, on what's causing mass shootings. We don't know. And anyone who tells you that they do know is just not telling you the truth. Another big, huge story today is the ICE raids in Mississippi at the poultry plant. There were 4 poultry plants, 680 people arrested. And there's a lot of fake news surrounding this story. They're showing crying children all over the news. And boy, is it an issue. I really think using children for making political points is really not right. When we arrest people in this country, what happens to their children? Our jails are full of parents. And American children don't get a break. American children don't get their parents returned to them because they cry and they're sad. When you break the law, bad things happen. Todd's on the phone. We can go to him real quick. He wants to comment on the Chicago shooting. Hey, Todd, what's going on?
Hey, I just had a take on this. And I could probably assume that a majority of the people that are getting shot in Chicago and a majority of the people that are doing the shooting don't vote or can't. So I'm assuming that's why you don't hear nothing out of the politicians. That's just my take on it. They're not going to vote for them anyway, so they don't matter.
Maybe. Thanks for your comment, Todd. I appreciate it. I'll tell you what, there is nothing sadder than the fact that you're right, that they don't matter. They don't matter to anybody, and I don't know why. Nobody in Chicago, I'm so upset about it. This is my hometown. I love Chicago. I love the people there. They're good people. And yet every weekend, we've got mothers and little babies standing out on street corners getting shot by gangsters, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I know it happens here in Rochester too. And I don't see a whole bunch of, protests about that. Charlie is on the phone. Welcome to Wham 1180. How can I help you, sir?
Yes, hi. Quick question for you. You seem to be an author and an authority on women and sexual abuse. And my question is this. You're sending your daughter off to college. She's in a dorm room, and a boy goes beyond and sexually abuses her. What evidence would you want your daughter?
Oh, this is a great question. Great question, Charlie.
And how would you want her to report it?
Okay.
In other words,
I've got an answer for you. Thank you for calling. I've got a great answer for this. It's actually in my book in the last chapter. If your daughter is assaulted, the very first thing she needs to do is she needs to know, do not take a shower, do not wash her hands, and fight like hell. Also, report to police immediately. Go to the hospital. Get a rape kit. We need DNA evidence. We need evidence. Tell someone. Tell the police, for God's sake. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. We'll be back on News Radio Wham 1180 after this. Welcome back to the Bob Lonsberry Show on News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media. If you're not reading PJ Media, chances are you're reading fake news, so better check that out. Producing today is the amazing Christina Lynn, and she really is amazing. She's been running around today like in a panic because the computers are not working right, and she is doing the best she can, and she's doing a great job, by the way, because I haven't noticed anything. The Van Bortle Ford phone and text line is open at 222-1180, 222-1180. We're talking about all the things that are going wrong and who's to blame for it, and pretty much, everything and everyone is to blame, apparently, for the shootings, for ICE raids, for, who knows. But before the break, I was talking to the caller who wanted to know about what does a woman do if she's been assaulted to get evidence. The most important thing about our justice system, folks, is due process. And that means that a person accused of a crime is innocent until proven guilty. So if you are assaulted, you need to collect evidence. You need to go to the police immediately. Do not wait a year, 2 years, 30 years to come forward with your story. Come forward immediately and the chances of you getting justice are much, much higher than waiting for 30 years. So the ICE raids are really bothering me, by the way, because the media is all over the news right now with crying children, videoing little children crying because their parents have been put in jail because they're in this country illegally and they were caught at several food packaging plants, poultry plants. And the fake news is all over the place, claiming that the feds are not doing anything about the employers who hired illegal aliens. That's not true. The Clarion Ledger is reporting that their investigation is not complete, and they are looking into who's responsible, but no one has been charged yet. And I believe that will be coming. So let's charge them all. You know, the people here illegally and the companies who hired them and who did this to people. Just ridiculous. And also the fake news that they're saying that these children are now parentless. This is not true. If the people arrested have young children at home, the ICE has released one parent so that they can take care of the children. David's on the line. He wants to talk about collecting evidence for assault. David, go ahead.
Yeah, I think your advice is very good for both the guy and the girl. I mean, it protects both sides. And, there's a lot of skepticism when a girl comes forward, like you said, real late, and the guy's got nothing he can do to prove himself innocent. So it's a good advice for both sides, not just for the girl.
You're right, David. You're right. Thank you very much for calling. Also, to protect your son, one of the things that, Michelle Malkin is one of my favorite pundits. She read my book. She loved it. She told me she was going to make it required reading for her college-age son. And I do think if you have a son going off to college, you should buy him this book, Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process, from Salome to #MeToo, because there's very good advice in there to protect boys as well from being accused of sexual assault. And one of the things that I suggest, and this is not a joke, everyone's going to think it's a joke, but it's not a joke, is consent forms. We're going to have to send our kids to school with legal forms, and I don't think it's enough to get it in writing that if they choose to partake in sexual behavior before marriage and in college, then they're going to need to get a recording, probably on video, of the consent, both before and after, and possibly during, to protect themselves from false allegations. And, it's not a joke. I mean, people make jokes out of, bringing consent forms to consent to sex, but it's not a joke anymore, because one accusation can ruin your life. And my book is full of them. My book is full of false accusations about rape charges that didn't happen, that have ruined the lives of many men from history, all the way from Bible times to now. So, we have a serious problem in this country. Due process is disappearing, and we need to make sure that we care enough to bring it back. And so you can get that book on Amazon. It is available on paperback and Kindle. And I would appreciate any feedback that you have. I do love hearing from my readers. It's always nice to hear from you guys. Let's see, the Van Bortle Ford and phone and text line is open at 222-1180, 222-1180. If you want to talk to me about anything that's in the news or on your mind today, please give me a call. And now is traffic and weather on News Radio, Wham 1180. Speech really is, what violent rhetoric really is. We've got a Hollywood film depicting Trump supporters being hunted for sport by elite leftists. Yeah, for real. And these are the same people who tell us that we should be that the president has violent, incites hatred. These are the same people, and yet they make movies about hunting deplorables, people who voted for Trump. And this is not a joke. I'm not making that up. It's in their own script. They call them, here's a line that used to be in the script. They'll probably pull it now because they've been found out. Here's a line from that movie. Nothing better than going out to the manor and slaughtering a dozen deplorables. Really? That's, what do you call that? Everybody's complaining that Donald Trump, he's the one that incites violence. Has he ever called for the slaughter of political opponents? How about this in Long Island, New York? This is terrible. Posters appeared in Long Island, New York that say death camps for Trump supporters. Death camps for Trump supporters now. What? It's nonsense. Lorraine's on the phone. She wants to talk about blaming perpetrators. Lorraine, you're on the air on Wham 1180.
Yeah, I love the fact, Megan, that you brought up that nobody even for a second blames the one who actually shot her, like that. Ferguson became set in stone in the wrong sense. No one listened to the result of the court, what happened with the court hearing or whatever, that 6 African Americans heard and saw. He did not raise his hands and say, "Don't shoot." And he tried to get the gun. I mean, Michael Brown tried to get the gun. If that isn't worthy of a harsh response, I don't know what is.
Thanks for calling, Lorraine. I appreciate the call. I agree with you.
The thing is, these things get set in like Charlottesville. This isn't the same as blaming the perpetrator, but Trump's comment meant the people wanted their statues, and they were fine people. He didn't mean the Aryan whatever.
Yeah, you're right, Lorraine. Thanks a lot for your call. I was going to bring that up too. I mean, it's constant fake news. They are saying that the president is at fault, and then they bring up the examples they bring up are all fake. None of it's true. He didn't say that white supremacists were fine people. He was talking about the people protesting taking down the statues that will erase our history. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. And more is coming up on the program next. We'll see you in a minute.
Wham 1180.
Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. Christina Lynn producing. She picks good music. I love that song. I love you too. It's good stuff. Bob Lonsberry is actually on the phone with us. He's going to tell us what he's up to today. How's it going over there, Bob?
Hey, man, people love you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
I was standing here. Up came a lady, and she started talking about your book, said she wanted to get it. Talked about the concept of due process and statute of limitations and accountability and such like that. And here's the thing. So hearing your show secondhand was still a thrill. I'm going to go home and listen to the podcast tonight. So I applaud you, and I appreciate you. And thank you for covering for me today. Real quickly, gentle listener, until 10 o'clock this morning at Monroe and Alexander, Rochester Police Department is going to be, as you drive by, they've got little white buckets collecting money for the Special Olympics. If you could donate, we'd be awfully, awfully grateful to you. We all know how good Special Olympics is. This is quick, easy, and convenient. I'll be here as well. It's at 10 o'clock. It's at Monroe and Alexander. It's for the Special Olympics. Man, thanks for letting me talk. I so appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. Everybody get out there and visit Bob today and donate to the Special Olympics. What a great cause. And before the break, we were talking about, who's to blame. Everybody wants to blame everybody. And anybody who tells you they know who's to blame for mass shootings, I think, is not telling the truth, because nobody knows. If we knew, we would fix it. Obviously, we would fix it. Later in the program, I'm going to have my managing editor, Paula Bollard. This woman is a godsend to me. She's going to come on and talk about some of the possible reasons, and also her recent article about an Ohio lawmaker who's really under fire for trying to tell people that it could be a multitude of different things. During one of the news breaks, Todd Halliday was talking about Walmart now going to take down violent video game displays. Listen, I'm not a fan of violent video games, but not everybody who plays violent video games is going to be a mass shooter. And video games, by themselves, don't cause anything. And neither does owning a gun. And neither does having a mental illness. See, this is the thing. You can have a mental illness and never hurt anybody. So how do we identify the people who do have the mental illness and are going to hurt someone? I mean, this is a very difficult topic, and there is no easy answer. And let me tell you, anybody who tells you that a new law is going to solve this problem and, Chuck Schumer's going to write a law and everything's going to be coming up daisies and we're never going to have another mass shooting again is a fool. I mean, if that were true, then Brad Hoylman and Jeffrey Dinowitz should be given Man of the Year awards for stopping measles in its tracks by repealing the religious freedom exemption in New York. But guess what? There's another measles outbreak. I guess that didn't work. You're never going to stop people. You're just never going to stop people from breaking laws. Laws don't solve problems. They just don't. We have a much bigger problem than anything a law can do. And I don't know what it is. Maybe you have an idea what it is. I do know that like 25 out of the 26 mass shooters had no fathers in the home. That could be a problem when you've got a male trying to grow up in a world without another man to show him how to be a man and to show him how to do life and how to get over these slights and upsets that they have. I don't think women have what it takes to raise men. I'll tell you that. Not alone. I know I don't. Now, I'm not blaming it on just that, because I'm not going to play the blame game. I'm going to say there's a lot of factors here, and we all need to calm down and work together to try and figure out how to reduce this problem. But another gun law, do you know how many gun laws are on the books? I mean, I don't. There's got to be thousands. And none of them work, because all of us who pay attention to the laws, well, we're not breaking them. So we keep getting, law-abiding people keep obeying these new laws, and then gunmen just break them all and come shoot you anyway. So, and then there's a real problem for me when Chicago, they're killing people every weekend and nobody cares. Nobody. But suddenly, a Walmart gets shot up and the whole country's gone berserk. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. We'll be back at the top of the hour with more good stuff for you on News Radio Wham 1180.
Sunny and 65. I'm Todd Halliday. News Radio Wham 1180. Next news at 9:30. Breaking news when it happens. Anytime. Another hour with Megan Fox sitting in for Bob Lonsberry starts now on News Radio Wham 1180.
Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180, the Bob Lonsberry Show. I'm Megan Fox from PJ Media. And if you're not reading PJ Media, you're missing out on all the real news. Don't read the fake news. What's the point? Right before the break, we were talking about who's to blame for the shootings, and I got a text, and Kia says, I have a theory why the shootings, because we tell boys that they're toxic and that they have no future because the future is female. Ooh, that's a pretty good comment there, huh? Yeah, the newsroom is shaking their head. Yes, Tom. What do you think?
I recall Senator Gillibrand's statement a couple of months ago when she said the future is intersectional.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, that's the big buzzword now about how many boxes you can check off if you're female, if you're a certain minority.
The victim boxes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we do tell boys that they're toxic. All this toxic masculinity. What are these boys going through puberty and finding that very difficult? What are they supposed to think when we tell them that they're bad and they're wrong and they can never be good?
Well, exactly. I mean, promoting certain groups over others shouldn't mean a negative contrast to the initial groups that you started with in the first place.
No. But we got another one on the phone. Dan wants to know, he's got some comments on the shooting. Dan, who's to blame?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, what I'm always wondering is the shooter in Ohio, he posted a thing or something about how he had a kill list and all that. You always hear this stuff. I mean, not always, but a lot of times you hear this stuff about these shooters that, they have these signs about this and that. What I think they should do, because like you say, you can't predict nothing, but you get a dude like that, anybody like that does that, they should have them freaking monitored, just like you're on probation.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, stop in their house or see what the hell these people are doing.
Thank you.
We got enough resources to do that.
We do, Dan. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. And you know what? Connor Betts. Yeah, Connor Betts, who's the shooter was Connor Betts the Walmart shooter or the Dayton? He's the Dayton shooter, I think. He is the one, his girlfriend or a former girlfriend said she reported him to the police several times. That he was, there were red flags all over the place. One of the shooter's mothers called the police before the shooting to ask about her son having access to a gun. That happened at the Parkland high school shootings too. The police had been to his house, the shooter's house, several times. So it's not that we don't have signs, it's that we're not reading the signs. And if the police are not doing their job and they're not following up, then why are we blaming President Trump for doing what all politicians do, which is go after his opponents? All this stuff about Donald Trump and, it's his fault and, nonsense. That's nonsense. It's absolutely crazy. But you know who I blame, Christina? Are you ready for this? I blame The Bachelorette. I think she chose the wrong guy on the finale, and that has just thrown America into a deep depression. What do you think?
Bachelor Nation strikes again.
She chose the wrong guy. I got to laugh a little bit today because this is really getting deep and heavy, and I'm starting to get depressed. So can we talk about The Bachelorette, please?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So she chose Jed, Smallhead Jed.
I can't.
Smallhead Jed, which it was the most cringeworthy proposal ever.
Yes.
Can you play a little bit of that?
Oh,
can you play?
you
Please play Jed's proposal, or at least the song. So this guy always pulls out a guitar everywhere he is, and he's not a very good musician. He's mediocre at best. And so we have to sit through this while we're watching this program, as if it's not obvious the guy is totally into this because of his career in music, this career he thinks he's going to have.
Hold on.
Okay. Well, so Jed is the small-headed guy. He's very strange looking. I mean, she had like 24 beautiful men to choose from. And I mean, they are all like Greek gods. And she chooses this guy.
After all that you've been through,
Oh,
and those times you wish you knew,
yikes.
who was on the other side.
And meanwhile,
of
she's
all those
smiling
restless
awkwardly.
nights. We always knew it's me and you.
She's like wanting him to stop right now. She's like, oh, wait, he's not done.
I have to say, I laughed out loud when I saw him carrying his guitar
Out of the limo?
out of the limo. Like, laughed so hard. Like, why? Like, why?
I know, we don't need to hear it again, Jed.
No.
And I like how she goes at the end. She goes, I really like that. Like, no one believes you. No one really liked that.
No.
Did anyone really? Even Chris Harrison called it the most cringeworthy proposal ever.
It was horrid.
It was bad. It was so bad.
It just made me realize that she is so basic.
Oh,
she's
so
basic.
basic.
Like, I loved her at first
And
because...
loose.
Well, apparently. Oh, wait. Let me get that one ready.
Do you
Hold on.
know how old she is?
Is she like 28?
No, she's 24.
Oh, stop it.
No, she's 24. She's got the mileage of a 45-year-old on her, though. She does. Play that clip. Play that clip.
Okay,
I'm
here we
not
go.
wrong.
Are you
I'm not
ready?
lying. I'm ready.
Here we go.
I did say there was something that Peter and I did twice. It was actually 4 times.
While his parents were in the audience clapping.
That was lovely. So she's not content to keep the the narrative going that she had relations twice in a windmill with Peter, the guy she didn't choose. But no, now it's 4 times, and she said that in front of Peter's parents.
And they were so like happily clapping when she said it. I was like, is this for real?
I know. His father looked like he was going to burst with pride.
He was like, oh my God, he like hit the mom with his elbow. He's like, did you hear? 4 times.
I know. And she's like, yeah, honey, good job.
And she didn't even choose him.
Yikes.
That was the other psychology of it to me was, oh, she's, really putting on blast that she was very intimate with Peter. It says to me that she's foreshadowing that she's going to pick him. And then she didn't. And then she brags that she did something with him 4 times and then didn't pick him. Come on.
The guy had a plane. And he can go for 4 times in one night. I'm thinking she made the wrong choice.
She absolutely did make the wrong choice.
But, so she picks Jed, and then here's the big spoiler alert that happened on the finale, the second part, because now they're breaking it into parts,
Yeah.
That Jed just used her to get ahead in his career, which we all could totally see.
Oh, my God. He walked to the proposal with a guitar in his hand. What else do you need?
He had a girlfriend that he had lied to and said, I'm just doing it for the, doing it for the
music.
The music.
Well, he held true to that all the way to the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. He never quit doing that. And then Tyler, poor Tyler C., He's so cute. I know you think he's weird looking.
He's cute.
Oh, I think he's adorable.
No.
See, there's someone for everyone, Christina.
Well, and back to Peter, I did say in my head, so they did it 4 times and she still didn't pick him. Maybe there was a different kind of psychology that night. She was like, first time, oh, you know what? That was just the first time. Let's try again. Second time.
Maybe.
Oh, that wasn't really good either. Let's do it a third time. Third, yeah, that was good. Hey, and we'll wake up in the morning and try one more time. How about that?
And it just didn't go
and then
well.
didn't go well.
That's quite a theory.
Thank you.
That's possible.
Thank you.
But I think I prefer to think of Peter as doing well.
I don't know though, because if I was with someone 4 times one night and then didn't choose them to be my husband, I don't know. That's kind of rough.
All this and more with Christina Lynn, the amazing Christina Lynn, on News Radio Wham 1180. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. He's out and about in town today. You can go see him to raise money for Special Olympics down at, where is he again?
Duncan, Alexander, and Monroe.
Monroe, thank you. I'm on the wrong page, my notes here. So we were talking about Bachelorette. And do you know, I think we need to catch up the audience, though. Bob's audience might not be hip to the internet speak. Do you know what a thought is, Christina?
I do.
T-H-O-T, thought. It stands for that hoe over there.
Yeah.
I think we can safely say now that Hannah, the Bachelor, is a thought.
Yeah.
And I have breaking news from TMZ about this.
Oh.
So you all know, well, you might not know because you don't watch this crappy TV that we watch. Is that Bob?
It might be, yeah. Hold on.
Okay. Bob is calling in, I think, because he's going to be telling us more about his Special Olympics fundraising that's going on out there. And then Christina and I can get back to the Bachelorette stuff. But yeah, TMZ is reporting that that Tyler and Hannah were caught on camera leaving her house very early in the a.m. doing the walk of shame. So we'll get to that in a second. But let's talk to Bob. Bob, how's the Special Olympics fundraising going?
Vocabulary issue. I challenge society's notion that is a walk of shame. You know what I'm saying? I think I think there should be high fiving involved, right? A little bit of cockadoodle doing, right? Because they're not walking out early in the AM like that because they came to check the plumbing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, that's what TMZ called it. It's not my word. That's just what they said.
It's a sign of, I don't know, some sort of success or whatever along those lines. Also,
that's true.
Another observation, if I could, ma'am, if you could try to suck on this show a little bit, okay?
Oh,
like when you're filling in for me, please don't look competent and available. All right, please don't do that. All right.
No, but I'll try and muck it up here a bit.
Yes, really tone down the entertainment, okay, and do not be smart and do not make sense, okay. Please stop all those things.
You got it,
very
Bob.
quickly. Very quickly, friends, until 10 o'clock this morning, the Rochester Police Department is going to be at Monroe and Alexander out in front of the beautiful Dunkin' Donuts. Cops on top is the deal, and they're collecting money for Special Olympics. There are right now horses from the police department, motorcycles from the police department. There's a poor man on stilts juggling in the middle of the intersection of Monroe and Alexander. If you stop out, donate money for Special Olympics, it'd be a good thing. Ma'am, thank you so much. I apologize for intruding.
Oh, thanks, Bob. Thanks for doing what you're doing. We go on and see Bob. He's downtown. He's at Monroe and Alexander for the Special Olympics fundraising. It sounds like something fun for the kids to do. If there's jugglers and everything, geez. But yeah, TMZ, Christina, they're saying that they got pictures of Tyler C. leaving Hannah's apartment with her early in the morning. And I think Bob's right. I don't think he was there to help her with her plumbing.
Well, I mean, maybe some pipes were being cleared.
Well, so they went out for their drink because, see, she dumped Jed.
Yeah.
At the thing. She dumped him because of the girlfriend issue. And then at the live finale, she asked Tyler C. out for a drink. But apparently the drink led to an overnight visit, which I guess none of us should be surprised with this thought.
And I would like to point out that it was not Peter.
No,
for round 5, 6, and 7. Because 4 times is apparently it.
Four times. Okay, so I think I'm seeing a pattern here in in television. Do you watch Bachelor in Paradise? Have you started watching this?
Yes, I do. And I hate to say that I do, but because I have such limited time to watch anything ever, and for some reason I watch that show. So,
well, it's for your job. You have to do that for work.
Yes.
That's my excuse. I do it for work. But no, I watched it last night. I watched the first episode, and so far Blake has been with Kaylin, Christina, Hannah, and it looks like he's going to be in with Tasha, whatever her name is.
Yep.
So that's 4 girls. And what did I say last time? 1 in 4 people has herpes. It's again, we're playing herpes roulette on these Bachelor shows, and I think I've discovered why they do this. All right, if you watch any TV, any entertainment, like on Netflix, any of these shows, and I'm not talking about reality shows, I'm talking about the ones they write, it's basically this. People hooking up with other people, and this is what you watch all night long, is just random people hooking up with other random people and then breaking up and hooking up with their friend. And this is what they do. I think this is reality imitating entertainment, because these people on this Bachelor in Paradise, they're just imitating what they see on TV. This is what they think is reality. It's what they think is real life.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really think that's true.
Well, because before that was Real World was the controversial reality show. And that was just watching everybody in a house doing it all together, like.
Now, I don't remember that show being an orgy.
No, I think Big Brother took over that that title.
Oh, Lord.
No, you're right.
I mean, it's just garbage. So much of what's on TV is garbage.
It is.
I want to know, where are the good stories? Where are the inspiring stories?
You got me on that one.
Well, because
I got to dig.
Entertainment really does influence the way people behave, I think.
For sure.
Right?
Well, and that's the thing. That's the mystery that I have when I watch shows like The Bachelorette and Bachelor is I go, this never happens in real life. No one person is dating 25 people and then in 7 days says, you know what? The 7 of you, I'm not feeling it, but I'm going to try to pursue it with the other 18. Like, that doesn't ever happen in real life. And when you're watching it, you have to step back and go, wait, hold on. She was just with him the night before and with a different guy the night before that, and then she says that she's in love with this one, but then it's
and
just
they're
not
all
real.
swapping spit. It's so gross.
It's literally not real reality.
It's gross. It's just gross, and I do think it influences the way that especially young people think. And we need some better influences in our culture. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. We're going to talk about the culture and influencing it when we come back. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on today's show. We are talking about Thought Patrol, the girls at the girls who are just too easy, and they're all over entertainment news and entertainment reality TV, and we're talking about The Bachelorette and why is entertainment so terrible. And right now, coming onto the program is someone who has a solution to our entertainment problem. I'm looking for the good stories. Where are the inspiring stories? Where are the stories that will inspire us to be better and not, slum dwelling, thoughts, basically? I mean, where is it? And John Della Rose is the most dangerous Hispanic author in the science fiction world. He is the one and only. He is the captain of the Thought Patrol. And I just lost my screen, so I can't put him on the air, Christina. John, are you there?
I'm here, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Okay, I just lost my screen. It's not you. John, entertainment is terrible. What's the deal, and how can we fix it?
Entertainment is terrible, and I've pretty much, at this point, with 2 young children, stopped watching all TV, not let them watch any new TV. I don't go to movies very often. There's just too much there. I mean, I took my kid to a movie the other day, and even in the previews now, I was watching, it was a kid's movie, it was a PG movie, I don't remember. But in the previews, they had a preview for the Downton Abbey movie, which is a show a lot of women watch these days.
Oh, I like that show. Are they ruining Downton Abbey?
In the preview, they had two men kissing on the preview in front of a children's movie.
Oh, no. Come on.
Yeah, it was happening. I mean, so they're trying to insert the sexualization of children into all media. And you just got to turn it off, and you got to find alternatives of people who are out there creating new content that is just going to be within your values, and you got to support that.
Can I be clear about something? I don't want to see a man and a woman. I don't want to show them kissing in front of my children either. Like, I don't understand why we have to show, sex on TV in front and in previews in kids' movies in front of kids. That's, to me, it's just wrong any way you cut it.
Yeah, you don't want to push that sexualization of 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds and have them wide-eyed and looking at that and then trying it with their friends. I mean, that's not healthy.
No, it's not. So tell us about what you're doing, John. You're writing entertainment, and maybe what do conservatives have to do to take back the entertainment business?
I think we got to push ideas in the opposite direction and actually show that you can live a different way. And so I actually wrote a science fiction trilogy that's going to be coming out in September. It starts with a book. It's called Justified. And my first thought was, what if I featured a sort of godly man character, and his entire thing is he's actually, keeping to his vow of celibacy and not going in this direction whatsoever. In this culture these days, it seems so absurd and so crazy that anybody could do that. But I want to show that it can be done, and that the whole focus of things doesn't have to be sex. You can have a story without that in it. And so I hopefully accomplish that, and hopefully still told an entertaining story that people will like it, regardless of that.
If you look back at the greatest books of all time and the greatest stories of all time, they have common themes: courage, strength, inventiveness. The great themes of the great books don't include sex and degeneracy. Like, none of it. Yeah. They don't last. That doesn't last. Like, Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn don't have any of that. And yet they last. They lasted to today, and they're still relevant today. What are your themes, John? What are the kinds of themes that you focus on?
I try to focus on, because I also think we have a problem in culture these days with masculinity being presented as an evil thing. And so I wanted to present a good masculine character who's trying to work hard, who's trying to protect innocence. I think protecting innocence is something that's very important in our society that definitely our culture is not doing right now. Loyalty is another big theme that I want to show as something positive, and fighting for what's right, regardless of how it hurts you personally.
I think that's really important. I think those big themes, of loyalty and love and faithfulness and courage, and those themes are so important to put out there. Those are the things we want our children to do. That's how we want our children to become brave and courageous and faithful and have good families and strong morals. And yet we put them in, the television is just full of garbage, and it's garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely. We have to disconnect our children from the internet. We have to disconnect them from a TV. For parents, I mean, I do not let my kid have a TV in their room or the internet in their room at all. I make sure I monitor anything that's on, and it's under my supervision at all times. And you have to do that, because otherwise, not only are they going to be influenced by some of this entertainment, but there's people out there on the internet who want to connect with children and harm them also, and you got to keep them away from that.
Yeah, it's a really scary place. It's a scary time to have children, to raise children. It's very difficult. And John, tell us the names of your books. You've got books for sale right now, too, and they're good for teens to read, too, aren't they?
Yeah, I've got a couple, and they're not quite as on the nose with the thematic as my new one that's going to be coming out. I went a little more with just a lighthearted, entertaining stories with the ones that I've got out so far. Because I think also, like, everything's been really dark and really depressing in culture. So I just wanted something fun for people. So my main one that's very popular is called For Steam and Country, and it's just about a girl. She inherits an airship from her father in this fantasy world, and she has to go. Actually, she finds out he's still alive, and she has to go help rescue him. And then I've got a superhero book, which actually has is a romantically themed superhero book, and she's dating the superheroine is dating a villain under her secret identity. It's called Flying Sparks, but I do not go into anything other than PG sort of content in it, so it's definitely fine for children, which comic books should be. And so Flying Sparks is definitely aiming to replace that industry, which has gone a little too far in that extreme.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
Comics has gone crazy. I mean, they're just, talk about inappropriate. So Flying Sparks is graphic novel. Is that correct? Or comic book?
Yeah, graphic novel, comic book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys have got to check it out. The artwork is really good. So if you like comics, if you are worried about what your kids are reading, check out John Delarose and his work. Because he's got a lot of great stuff. And there are, John and I both belong to a conservative libertarian fiction alliance group that puts together authors from the libertarian and conservative perspectives. And they are putting out content every single day that is family friendly, good for kids, good for adults. Not all of it is for kids. Some of it is adult, some of it's horror, but it's all around these themes that push us to be better, instead of dragging us down to the gutter, which I think is what is mostly on entertainment television. I'd like to remind you that the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line is open at 222-1180, 222-1180. If you have a question for John or for me, or you have just a comment you want to make, go ahead and call in. Christina, I'm still down with my computer, so I can't see anything. So if you have anybody, just let me know. Okay. We've got a phone call on the line, but we're going to wait because we'll take him after the break. John, can you hang on with us after the break?
Sure thing.
All right, wonderful. We'll be back to talk more about culture and the gutter culture that we are. It's just a dumpster fire, folks. I'm Megan Fox sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media, and we are talking about our dumpster fire culture. But before we get back to that, Bob Lonsberry is around town. He's not on the phone yet. Well, he is around town, and he's raising money for the Special Olympics. He's downtown today at Monroe and Alexander, raising money for the Special Olympics. And we'll just go back to John until he calls in. Christina will let me know when he's here. John, we have a caller on the phone. This is John Delarose we're talking to. He is an author of science fiction and comic books, and he writes things that you don't have to hide from your children. And he writes things that help our culture. And we've got Ted on the phone, and he's got a question. So let's go to Ted. You're on Wham 1180, Ted. How can we help you?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. So going back to The Bachelorette, here's my point of view, and I don't know that this has been really shared other than in comments and stuff on social media, right? So when that Trip Hannah comes out for the tell-all, she gets standing ovations, everyone cheers, screams, hollers, yet that Jed is so hated, right? He's so hated for having a girlfriend before. Yet she was sleeping with a guy days leading up to quote-unquote getting engaged, right?
Yep.
Yet she is so celebrated, and she's such a great person. And to me, it's a snapshot of what's wrong with America right now. It's a snapshot into celebrating, what's wrong is right, and what's right is wrong.
You're so right, Ted. Thank you for calling. John, I'm so with him. Oh, my goodness. What do you think?
I've got a question for the caller. Can you imagine as a man going through with an engagement under those conditions? How could you ever trust this woman?
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not on the phone anymore. But
he's not? Oh, that's too bad.
But still, you're right, though. How could you? And he's right. And I think that's probably why I watch it, is because it's such a snapshot of what is wrong with America. He's absolute. Ted, you're a genius. And we're going to go to Bob real quick. Bob Lonsberry is on the phone. He's going to give us an update to what's going on with him.
Thank you, and I apologize for intruding very quickly until 10 o'clock, which is coming up, dear friends. You can stop off at Monroe and Alexander to make a donation. Wonderful officers, the Rochester Police Department, collecting money for the Special Olympics until 10. Monroe and Alexander, stop out, donate. Appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Bob. All right, John, so getting back to what's going on with our dumpster fire culture, what do we do about this? Because it is a snapshot of what's wrong with America when you look at a dating show that's got a girl sleeping with like 3 guys before she gets engaged, and she's the one getting all the applause, and the guy who says, no thanks, I don't really want the herpes, he's the bad guy?
Well, I got to say that the applause is fabricated, too. I believe most Americans have the same reaction we do in disgust and horror of this, and that these networks actually set up sort of marketing things to make the applause look a lot bigger than it is, and to make the jeering of traditional values look as bigger than it is. And it's to try to influence you psychologically. So we have to support different content, alternative content, different, turn off the TV, or there's a service now called PureFlix, I believe.
Yes.
Which has new stuff, which is looking good on the television front.
Yeah, it's a streaming service. Lisa's on the phone. She's got a comment on the subject. Lisa, welcome to News Radio Wham 1180.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Megan, you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
Ethics and morals are what's lacking. There's just none anymore. Back in the late 80s, there was this 10-part series, Ethics in America, and it was really good. And it had people like Judge Scalia, who was brilliant on there, a panel of all different kinds of people. And it seemed like the journalists, like Mike Wallace and Peter Jennings, struggled with ethics more than the whole other panel. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Lisa.
And morals.
I appreciate the call. John, what do you think about the ethics and morals in America?
I think we do have a problem, and I think the caller nailed it on the head again with journalism, especially with journalism on the left. You see that they're often colluding with these studios to try to push the narrative, and they do it for a simple reason, because they know that if they push the narrative that these studios want, they'll get access to these studios, and the studios will promote them. So unfortunately, there's a symbiotic relationship that's all based on money that is incentivizing this culture to go in this direction.
Thank you, John Delarose, for being on the program today. Everybody, go check out his books on Amazon. He's really a talented writer, and you can find him on Amazon right now. And I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. We'll be back.
1180. Downtown, it's sunny and 68. I'm Todd Halliday. News Radio Wham 1180. Next news at 10:30. Breaking news when it happens. Anytime. Another hour with Megan Fox in for Bob Lonsberry starts now on News Radio Wham 1180.
Welcome back to the Bob Lonsberry Show. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media, sitting in on News Radio Wham 1180. And Christina, the amazing Christina Lynn, is producing, and she's doing a wonderful job as usual. And today we're talking about the blame game and who to blame. Who is to blame for all of the bad things that happen in America? And the most popular answer right now is Donald Trump and all of you who voted for him. Whatever's going wrong, you are the reason. and even if you decide to go and do something nice for people, you're still going to be blamed. And that's what we're talking about next. The Baltimore Sun editorial board put out a hit piece on a Trump supporter, a political activist. His name is Scott Pressler, and he's a Republican activist who decided to organize a cleanup effort in Baltimore. When Donald Trump put out the tweets about Elijah Cummings' district and said that it was rat infested, which it is, and crime infested, which it also is, that was a problem for everyone. They said he was racist, and never mind the actual rats running into the news reel, but it's just one more reason to blame Republicans, blame Donald Trump, blame everybody except for the perpetrators of the bad garbage that's piling up in Baltimore. So Scott Pressler, who's a Republican activist, decided that he wasn't just going to sit around on Twitter and complain about it. He was going to go to Baltimore and actually do something about it. So he gathered up a bunch of volunteers from all over the country, and they went into Baltimore. It was more than 170 people who came from all over the country and cleaned up nearly 12 tons of trash. 12 tons of trash. And they posted what they were doing on Twitter. And he said, I'm not doing this because, I'm not doing this because I want to, help Donald Trump or because I'm saying anything bad about Elijah Cummings, but this is just Americans helping Americans. I want to do something nice for people. And they did. And what did he get in response? What did he get in response to this? The Baltimore Sun editorial writes an article, and I kid you not, this is the title. We assume it was pure motives that led a Trump supporter to launch a cleanup in Cummings' district. Right. And among the things that they said about Scott Pressler in here is that he was basically not sincere in his effort to help the people of Baltimore clean up their neighborhood. And I wanted to give Scott a chance to respond to this article because I feel it's unfair. And so he's on the phone with us today. Scott Pressler, welcome to Wham 1180. Tell me about your cleanup effort and what was your response to this article that they wrote, basically questioning that you even cleaned up the trash.
Good morning.
Good morning.
With one tweet, we were able to mobilize 200 volunteers to come out on a Monday. I mean, we're not talking the weekend. Like, we're talking a work day. And we cleaned up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours. It was nothing but fun, uplifting, positive, inspiring. And, to any of the people out there, including the Baltimore Sun, that are criticizing my efforts to help make Baltimore a better place to live, I only have one response. I have plenty of trash bags and gloves, and if you want to get dirty with us and help pick up trash, then I invite you to come with us to the next Baltimore trash cleanup.
Yeah, I agree that I've never heard people complain so much about a nice thing that people did. I really haven't. I mean, I read the article. Here's what they say at the end of this article. They say, whatever he says his motives were, Mr. Pressler's presence in Baltimore reinforces the tired image of our failing urban cores. The poor people in this dilapidated city can't take care of their own neighborhoods, and that all public officials around them have failed as well. Well, haven't they?
Yes. Well, and I don't mean to laugh and have levity, but the reason why I laugh is that it's just so asinine and ludicrous that, I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to spend a week not sleeping. I didn't have to spend money out of my own pocket. I didn't have to buy 3 30-yard, 3-ton dumpsters. I didn't have to, but I wanted to because it was the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do. And did I hear that you were not allowed? You couldn't get a permit for a dumpster?
Oh, trust me, I'm getting there. The city did not help us, and I want to say that as respectfully, but as pointedly as humanly possible. We applied for permits on Wednesday morning with the city of Baltimore, and by we, I have a local activist, Alex, who went to go fill out the permits, make sure that we were doing it correctly, just do it the right way, to make the city happy. And they, by Friday afternoon, after hounding them with phone calls over and over and over, what's the status of our permits? Can you give us any update? They still wouldn't tell us the status of our permits on Friday. So I said, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. If the city of Baltimore is not going to help us clean up trash, then we're going to do it anyway. But here's the kicker. Here's the best part. After cleaning up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours, after having those 3 30-yard, 3-ton dumpsters, and having all of that trash removed from the city, yes, we did our part to remove the trash ourselves. We got an email the day after saying that our permits for dumpsters had been denied. And I think it shows you a dereliction of duty. I think it shows you failed leadership. I think it shows you a city that is neglecting and forgetting its very constituents who put these people into power.
It's incredible that they wouldn't give you a dumpster to clean up their mess that they should be cleaning up themselves. That's what people pay taxes for. That the city should take, if they have a trash problem, which they clearly do, we've seen the photos and the rats that are living in it, why aren't they out there cleaning it up all the time? And, we are not blaming the residents of Baltimore. If they have nowhere to put the trash, how can they clean it up? They can't. It's
let me
crazy.
Tell you, I spoke with the residents. I didn't just go out there into the community as a stranger just pretending I know everything. I spoke to the residents and did a lot of listening. This was a learning experience for me, and I'll tell you what I learned. I learned, number one, the city wasn't going to help us with permits. I learned that the city owns a lot of the bandos or abandoned buildings that are hazardous. And where the illegal dumping goes on. I learned that the city only sends a trash truck once a year to help clean up these alleyways.
What?
And I learned that the people are fed up. Here's what I learned. The people of Baltimore love their city, and they're proud to live in the city of Baltimore. But what they're not happy with is the fact that the city isn't doing its part to help clean up. And one of the women, Miss Louise, here I am, a 6'5" tall young man, and Miss Louise is an 81-year-old, 4'10" woman, and 81, and she was spunky as all heck, but she can't do this alone.
No.
A lot of the people living in the city are senior citizens. How can we expect these senior citizens to do the mountain of work that we did in 12 hours? And it's just not going to happen unless the city steps up to help.
Well, the Baltimore Sun is saying that they don't think you're going to come back. Are you going to come back? You going to do it again?
Listen, I have not slept since the Baltimore cleanup because we're already planning other cleanups. Not like literally the day after I got a text message from one of the organizers, Dustin, who lives there in Baltimore, who grew up there his whole life. And he said, Scott, we're already getting on planning the next Baltimore cleanup. So we've been texting off the hook the last 3 days. We've already been gathering volunteers. I think we truly did something special. I think we ignited a spark across the country. And I'm here to tell you, we're already planning a Newark, New Jersey cleanup on Sunday, August 25th. And we're also planning a Los Angeles cleanup as well. So, yes, Baltimore Sun, we are coming back to
Scott,
Baltimore.
can you hang on with me over the break? We're going to be back on News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, filling in for Bob Lonsberry. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. I am from PJ Media, and on the phone right now, we are talking to Scott Pressler. He is an activist. He has led this great effort to clean up Baltimore. They removed 12 tons of trash from Elijah Cummings' district without any help from the city. And in fact, the city worked against them and tried to keep them from getting a dumpster and denied their permit. And yet they're going to do it again. And let me tell you something, Scott. I love this idea that if the government is sitting around not doing their job, that Americans have every ability and every right to pick up a shovel and walk into these neighborhoods and do something about it. Whether that's filling potholes, cleaning up alleys, picking up trash. I love this. Hashtag Americans helping Americans. Scott, what a fantastic idea. How do people get in touch with you to help?
Thank you. Well, I mean, gosh, what a novel concept. If you see a problem not being addressed, go do it yourselves. Roll up your sleeves, put on your darn work boots, and get a little bit dirty. I mean, gosh, the government is not going to solve all of our problems. In fact, I think it creates more problems than it does good for us. So be the change you want to see in the world. If people want to get involved, my website is scottpressler.org. There's only one S in Pressler, scottpressler.org. Or you can also reach out to me on Twitter. My direct messages are open. You can slide into my DMs, and I do try to read as many of them as humanly possible. And I encourage everyone who's listening right now to Megan, Fox, and me, if you're feeling inspired, go out into your community. Go to a local park. Go to your local backyard and just start picking up trash to make your community a better, safer place to live.
And this is not political. This is not, you can be a Democrat and come volunteer, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. I would love this to be a community event where everybody comes together. I don't want just conservatives to step up. I want my lovely independents. I want my lovely Democrats to come together as a family because we're all American. This is Americans helping Americans.
Yes, and it's so important that we start looking at one another as neighbors and not enemies. I'm so tired of being categorized because I voted for Donald Trump that I'm some kind of deplorable racist and I hate minorities, and it's crazy. It's just crazy. I think what you're doing will bring more people together and solve more division than anything I've seen recently, and I'm really thrilled about it. Now, just so you know, guys know out there, public service announcement, it seems like some of Scott Pressler's people who show up to these events do wear MAGA hats. So if that triggers you to the point where you are going to punch someone in the face, then yeah, you probably shouldn't come. But if you do, if you let me put it this way: could you wear like a Beto sweatshirt or T-shirt or hat, and no one would bother you if you came to this?
Absolutely. Look, they can wear whatever you want as long as you wear clothes and don't show up naked. You're good to
It's
go.
not a Trump campaign. It's
not a
just
Trump
clean
rally.
up your city. It's a cleanup effort. Americans helping Americans, because that's what we do.
Absolutely. And I do want to leave you with one positive, uplifting story, because I do read my direct messages and people from all over the country tell me their stories. This dad reaches out to me. He says, Scott, I want you to know that my 14-year-old son heard about what you did in Baltimore, and now he's leading an effort in our hometown to pick up trash. And
That's
that to me is the
awesome.
most beautiful thing in the world.
That's awesome. You guys can go on to Scott's Twitter feed. If you want to see the pictures and the videos from that day, from the cleanup in Baltimore, it's at Scott with 2 T's, Pressler with 1 S, at Scott Pressler on Twitter. And he's got all the videos and the pictures from the cleanup. And you should see the amount of trash. You should send the Baltimore Sun the photos of the amount of trash, because they are questioning whether it was really 12 tons or not. But I saw the photos. That was a lot of trash.
Yes, ma'am. 3 30-yard, 3-ton dumpsters, all paid for. And we even made several trips to the junkyard, too. I mean, I will go to the Baltimore Sun, march there, and show them myself all the trash that we picked up.
Well, you know, the Baltimore Sun would know about trash because their entire newspaper is basically a rag. So I'm sorry, but it just is. So go to scottpressler.org. You guys can, if you can't show up to a cleanup event, you can certainly donate money. Scott, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh, thank you, Megan. Just look, we're going to live our life with positivity. We're going to encourage each other. And when we see other people in need, well, we're going to step up to help each other. That's what makes America so great.
Oh, I'm with you. Let's go make America great and all our communities great by cleaning up some trash. Thank you so much, Scott Pressler. I bet Rochester has some neighborhoods that could use some trash cleanup. I bet that right here in your own town, you can find places where you can go and make a difference. And if the government is not doing its job, if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, well, there's no reason why we can't go in and lend a hand. So, I'm going to be going on to Scott's website. I'm going to figure out where there's a local event by me, and I'm going to do it because you know what? This is not about, I'm so tired of sitting around and waiting for people in charge to do something to help people. People are sitting around in Baltimore in absolute filth, and these people went in and they cleaned the streets. It's amazing. You've got to see the pictures. It's just great. It's great what they did. And shame on the Baltimore Sun. Just shame on them for writing a hit piece on this man who did not deserve that. He wasn't going out there for any other reason than, he's just tired of the complaining and wanted to do something good about it. I want to remind you that the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line is open at 222-1180, 222-1180 if you want to call me up and let me know what you're thinking. I'll take your calls next, coming up after the break. We're also going to be talking later about more of the blame game for the mass shootings on News Radio Wham 1180. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. I come from PJ Media, where we only tell real news. So if you're reading anything else, it's probably fake news. I advise you to go to PJ Media right now and get your news there. Hillary's on the phone on the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line, which is 222-1180. So if you want to call in and talk to me about the program today, please do. Hillary, what can I do to help you today on Wham News Radio 1180?
What I'm going to do is try to help other people.
All right, go for it.
I fostered people. I've adopted people. And I have a son that's 22 years old. I put him in kindergarten, and he was smart, but I got a call from the doctor, the teacher, and she said he doesn't know his ABCs or anything else. She hadn't even corrected the test. She puts him in a chair by himself for 2 weeks. I don't even know that she had put him, you know what I mean, ostracize him. I mean, that's not the way to do it. I at Better Days of Health at the Mental Health Association, because this is so meaningful to me. These kids have hope. Now, you don't even have to pay. Village Gate, Mental Health Association, Better Days Ahead. I would sign my kids up for this class and that class and everything else. And, sometimes 22 parents would show up, and that would just be my son and a grandmother that was going to have to take the Medicaid, car home. So it's like, you really got to work for it. You can't.
Thank you, Hillary, so much for your call. She wanted to bring attention to mental health, and the issues that we were talking about earlier is regarding to these mass shootings and the mental health issues that are very, very important. But I want to, make sure I specify here, not every person who has a mental health or mental illness is a danger to society. And so I get very nervous when I hear the president or anybody else saying that we need to take guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. Just because you have a mental illness does not make you a danger to society. But you know what is a danger to society? You want to talk about violent rhetoric. I want to, everybody says that the president has ramped up the violent rhetoric, which I've never heard out of his mouth. But you know what I have heard? I have heard Democrats threatening Trump supporters, making them out to be the enemy and the reason for all these mass shootings, blaming them for mass shootings. And now we have this Hollywood film called The Hunt, which has set up, Matt Margolis is my colleague at PJ Media, and he's written an article called Hollywood Film Depicts Trump Supporters Being Hunted for Sport by the Left. And, this is unbelievable. Here's a line from the script that somebody leaked. Nothing better than going out to the manor and slaughtering a dozen deplorables. Now, they're probably going to yank that from the film because now they've been caught. They've already taken down the preview because people are so upset. Now, they're going to try and say that this is not about Trump supporters. But guess what? The original title for this movie was Red State versus Blue. Red State versus Blue State. So they absolutely meant it. Here's what the Hollywood Reporter was reporting. In the aftermath of the mass shootings within days of one another that shocked and traumatized the nation, Universal is reevaluating its strategy for the certain-to-be controversial satire. The violent R-rated film from producer Jason Blum's Blumhouse follows a dozen MAGA types who wake up in a clearing and realize they are being stalked for sport by elite liberals. What? What are we doing? And then here's another one. Representative Deborah Hine wrote this at PJ Media. Representative Castro warns potential Trump donors they'd better think twice before supporting the president. So he has now doxed a bunch of Trump supporters, companies who have donated to the Trump campaign. He has doxed them and is basically saying, that's a really nice business you got there. If you want to keep it, you'll do what I want you to do. It's really, really sick. So we've got a presidential candidate, saying that, basically outing people who are who are exercising their First Amendment right to support the candidate of their choice. And what is he doing targeting these businesses for? What is his intention? Is the intention to for them to be harassed? Because that's how it feels. Give me a call on the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line at 222-1180. 222-1180. I'd be happy to take your calls in the next few minutes on any of these things. Then we have death camps for Trump supporter flyers appear around Long Island, New York. Now, the community theater that did this, it was a theater, and they claim that these were advertisements for some show they were doing, and that it was meant as satire, and they didn't really mean it. And so, we should all just calm down. The Shock Theater Collective is the theater that did this, and we've got Sam on the line. He's got a comment on the movie. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I was last night I was looking at this. How pathetic is this? They took a movie out of the 90s and just made this. It's called Hard Target. It's the same premise.
Well, it is?
It's the same thing. They took homeless veterans and they would hunt them in the bayou.
Ooh, that's nasty.
And it's the same thing. They didn't even have enough common sense. They were so lazy they stole something else.
Well, nobody in Hollywood is creative anymore. All they give us is regurgitated crap on a plate, like Disney, when they're always remaking their movies into live action now.
Same one, over and over.
Over and over. So what you're saying is this is an old one that they're just redoing, but they're just going to put deplorable people in there instead.
Right, instead of homeless veterans.
Can I ask you a question, Sam, though?
Yeah.
Do you think that Trump supporters are to blame for the mass shootings, or is it all our fault?
No, I don't. Not at all. Listen, I own guns. My brother owns guns, and I've never thought of going and shooting up people like that. Honestly, this is a cover-up to get rid of the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
It's great that you brought this up. The callers on Wham 1180 really are the smartest callers in the world. I'm so glad you brought that up, Sam, because I think you're absolutely right. So the news cycle was like ramping up, going crazy over Jeffrey Epstein, and we're finding out he's a pedophile and he's brought all these young kids to this island, and there might be Satanism involved, and there's all kinds of craziness.
And a lot of Democrats involved. So guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get something to cover this up.
Something else to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting how the narrative gets changed so quickly, and all of a sudden Jeffrey Epstein falls right out of the right out of the news. Thanks for calling, Sam. I appreciate your call. If you want to call me and talk about this, the number here at the Van Bortle Ford phone line and text line, you can send text messages too, is 222-1180, 222-1180. I really think that the people who need to ramp down their rhetoric are the media and these people. Christina, can you play that clip of, let's see, it would be the white supremacy and Trump, that one? Because these are the people who need to ramp down their rhetoric.
We have to understand the adversary and the threat we're dealing with. And if we don't understand how they think, we'll never understand how to counter them. So it's the little things and language and messaging that matters. The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th. That's 8/8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler. So we're going to be raising the flag back up at dusk on 8/8. No one's thinking about this. No one's giving him the advice.
That's because you're crazy, Christina. You can stop it. That's the craziest tinfoil hat conspiracy I ever heard. That's outrageous. That was like a former FBI director who said that. You can't even make this stuff up. We will have more on the blame game coming back on News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry, and we're talking about the blame game. Who is to blame? And everybody's blaming Trump, including the Dayton mayor. Let's hear what she had to say. She's ramping it up.
That,
he's made this bed and he's got to lie in it. He hasn't. His rhetoric has been painful for many in our community, and I think that people should stand up and say they're not happy if they're not happy that he's coming.
Okay, his rhetoric has been painful for people. This goes back to the preschool advice I was given. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Everybody needs to grow up and stop it. He's never said anything that inflicted actual pain on anyone. John's on the line. He says people have too much time on their hands. What do you mean, John?
Yeah, Megan, this person with the 8 and 8, I don't know where they come up with this. They do have so much time on their hands. What a stupid analogy. Those of us that respect somebody by putting our flag at half staff do it out of respect for the person. Nobody overthinking the number 8 and 8, 7 and 7, 5 and 5. Go back to the third grade where they graduated.
Yeah, John, you're so right. Thank you for calling. That guy was like tinfoil hat. Tinfoil hat. We're in the tinfoil hat community here when we start talking about 8 and 8 equals the H and H, and that must stand for Heil Hitler, and that's why they're raising the flag on that day. Come on, people. That was a former FBI guy. Unreal. Kevin has something to say. Kevin, you're on News Radio WAM 1180. Welcome.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
I really appreciate the authenticity that you're presenting here today. It's really great. You have grace and wisdom in your voice, which is really important these days.
Thank you. What a nice thing to say.
And I would just like to, if you could just tell people a little bit about who inspired you, writers or thinkers, and what PJ Media is all about.
Oh, sure. I would love to. Thanks for the opportunity, Kevin. Who inspired me? Well, I'm looking at his picture right now. The great Rush Limbaugh, he's sitting right here in the studio with me. I'm the one who sent this picture here, I'm pretty sure. There's a signed photo of Rush Limbaugh in the studio. No, I am a Rush baby. I listened to Rush since I was 15 years old, and I've loved news talk radio forever. And Don and Roma in Chicago, Don Wade and Roma in Chicago, and they were a big influence on me. I listened to him every single morning, and WLS AM and all the radio hosts there. But in PJ Media, I started writing for David Horowitz actually at Newsreel blog and Front Page magazine several years ago. And then I moved over to PJ Media, and PJ Media is owned by Salem Media, and we are a conservative news site. And coming up later in the program, my managing editor, Paula Bollard, is going to be with us, and she's going to talk to us about what is in the news. PJ Media is such a great place to go for news because you're going to find, I've got this article actually right in front of me here. Where is it? Google. So Tyler O'Neill, who writes at PJ Media, wrote an article about the Google News on mass shootings. The results, if you Google the mass shootings, 70% of them send you to far left news. And I mean far left news. They're not even going to like the Wall Street Journal or NPR. No, they're sending you to MSNBC and CNN. 70%. Only 4% go to conservative sites like PJ Media. 4%, people. You are being manipulated. So when I say that if whatever you're reading is most likely fake news, I have the evidence to back it up. I've got, these news articles they're sending to you have a major bias rating. The sources on Google, when you look up the mass shootings, they're 400% more likely to be far left outlets. More balanced outlets like the BBC, NPR, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal got close to zero exposure among the top stories on each search topic. So when I tell you that PJ Media has real news, we really do. And, we are obviously, we come from a conservative perspective with people like Roger Simon, who write for us, and John Stossel, who's a libertarian, and he writes for us. And, of course, me and many others, Tyler O'Neill. We have a lot of different perspectives at PJ Media that range from the libertarian to the conservative, and some in the middle. We have never Trumpers, and we have pro Trumpers. We have a lot of different opinions and sources. And so it's really worthwhile for you to check that out because Google is not going to send you to all the stories. if you are relying on Google, and I highly suggest you use DuckDuckGo as your search, and I have that set on my phone and my computer. I don't even go to Google anymore because they're so biased. I can't take it. So if you have any comments or questions, the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line is open at 222-1180. Give me a call, 222-1180. I want to hear from you. But yeah, I think you should really seek out conservative sites like Town Hall. They do a good job and they do good reporting, and so does Hot Air. And, I just think that CNN, we all know CNN is fake news. I'm so tired of looking at it. I find that local news is usually less biased also. So, your Wham 1180's website is good. They've got great stories there. And when they focus on what's really happening, on the who, what, why, when, where, how, those are the questions that are important. Those are the questions we should be answering. And right now, we're just stuck in this morass of blaming. Blame. Let's hear, do we have time for Beto? For Beto? Beto O'Rourke? No, we don't have time for him yet, but when we come back, maybe we will. We are going to be going to a break here, and when we come back, I want to hear the fake Hispanic Beto O'Rourke. He's going to tell us about his rhetoric. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180.
1180. Downtown, it's sunny and 71. I'm Todd Halliday. News Radio Wham 1180. Next news at 1130. Breaking news when it happens. Anytime. Another hour with Megan Fox in for Bob Lonsberry starts now on News Radio Wham 1180.
Welcome back. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. We are talking about the blame game. There's plenty of blame to go around, I guess, and you're not exempt. Christina Lynn is producing, and she has a clip that I've been waiting to hear today. The faux Hispanic Beto O'Rourke. He's running for president, and he had this to say.
He's been calling Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals. I don't know, like members of the press. What the? Hold on a second. It's these questions that you know the answers to. I mean, connect the dots about what he's been doing in this country. He's not tolerating racism. He is promoting racism. He's not tolerating violence. He's inciting racism.
Who calls asylum seekers animals and an infestation? You may call
lies
a cockroach an infestation. You may use that word in the Third Reich to describe those who are undesirable, who must be put down because they are subhuman. You do not expect to hear that in the United States of America.
Wow. Okay, the Third Reich. Now he's invoked the Nazis. I don't know about you, but I think that that's the kind of rhetoric we need to tone down, because all of that was false. He did not call asylum seekers animals. He called MS-13 animals. And now we've got people in Ohio saying that they're claiming that an Ohio Republican blamed drag queens for the mass shootings, which is very interesting. And on the phone right now, we have the managing editor from PJ Media, my boss, the Perry White to my Lois Lane, if Perry White was a really polite Baptist lady from Ohio. Paula Bollard, welcome to the program.
Hi, Megan. How are you today?
I'm not working. I am here, and I'm going to be working later. So I'm just letting you know I'm not screwing around. I'll be writing later.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
I know you will. Cracking the whip. You wrote this article. Did an Ohio Republican really blame drag queens for mass shooting? And since we're talking about blame today, I wanted to get what happened here? Did she?
Well, so in the wake of the tragic, horrific shooting in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, an Ohio Republican, like a lot of us, took to Facebook and said, had just sort of had an emotional reaction to it, and she said, why don't we look at the breakdown of the family as one of the causes of this? And then in parentheses, she said, I'm looking at you, gays and drag queens, meaning these are the people who have led to the breakdown of the family in large part, which is a perfectly fine assessment if you ask me, but the left went nuts over it and took that little parenthetical and said she's blaming drag queens for mass shootings.
I think we could blame. We could blame drag queens for a lot, but maybe mass shootings isn't one of them. And I did read her, her whole thing here, and she basically has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 different things that she points to that we should maybe be looking into, like fatherlessness, relaxing laws against criminals, open borders, recreational marijuana, failed school policies. I don't think any of these things that she mentions are really over the top. Do you?
No, none of it's out of bounds. And, it's the same thing as in that Beto. What is his name?
Beto O'Rourke.
Spanish guy. Okay.
Yeah, that guy, the fake Hispanic, that guy.
Right, that guy. It's the same exact thing. They take things out of context and then they twist someone's words and turn them into something else. So, if a Republican utters the word infestation ever, no matter the context, even if they're talking about the bug infection at their house, insect infection at their house, it's a racist dog whistle. And so
you can't even say rat.
Conservatives can't say.
Yeah, you can't say rat infestation without being accused of being a racist when you're actually talking about rodents.
No, you can't. It's not if you're a conservative or a Republican. If you're a Democrat, you can say those things. But the standards are different.
So, do you think that Representative Candace Keller, is she in trouble?
Well, yeah, she may be. She has she's running for the Senate in Ohio, the Ohio Senate, and she's got a primary challenger. So, yeah, definitely that's a possibility. And the sad thing is that some in her own party went after her. The chairman, James Timken, the chairman of the Ohio Republican Party, has called on her to resign.
Oh, they're such cowards. They can't stand up. They can't stand up to any criticism. It kills me. Republicans kill me, Paula. Why are they so spineless and weak? She didn't say anything here that should upset anyone. You're not allowed to say that the breakdown of the traditional American family is a problem and that some of what's happened to it is the LGBTQ WTF lobby, because it is.
Right. And part of it is the Republican Party is embarrassed by her because she's hardcore pro-life. She volunteers at a crisis pregnancy center. She sponsored the heartbeat bill. She's complained a lot about the drag queen story hours that have been running rampant in Ohio libraries, government-funded libraries, and thinks maybe the government shouldn't fund that stuff. So, some of the more elitists in the Republican Party are just sort of embarrassed by her, and it's sort of a convenient thing to get her to go away.
Yeah, that's interesting because, Christina, when you get a chance, get the drag twerk ready to go because this is the thing that everyone wants to defend that really drives me crazy. And Republicans can't seem to get their gonads together to say, this is wrong. Listen to this, Paula. This is a drag queen story hour at some library somewhere recently.
But most of all, Michael likes to twerk. Now, does anybody in this room know how to twerk? All right, well, it's quite important to the story, so I will just give you a very quick demonstration. All you need to do is you just stand with your feet sort of shoulder width apart, like so. Okay, and I'll show you at the side so you get a better view that way. And you crouch down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. I hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.
So drag queens are teaching little tiny toddlers and children how to twerk, Paula.
Yeah, and they're also teaching them fake British accents. It appears.
Yeah.
That's not real, right?
That was a pretty bad one. It sounded like a bad Milo impersonation, actually.
Yeah, that was really quite terrible. But yeah, I mean, they're sexualizing little children at the public library using public tax dollars.
Terrible. Paula, can you hang on with us after the break?
Sure.
All right. I'm Megan Fox sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. We'll be back with Paula Balliard from PJ Media on News Radio Wham 1180. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. This is the Bob Lonsberry Show, and I'm Megan Fox sitting in. I'm from PJ Media, and on the phone with me today is the managing editor of PJ Media. And let me tell you something, people, if you're not reading PJ Media, you've probably fallen prey to fake news. So stop doing that and get on PJ Media and read the real news. And Paula, tell me, we were talking before about Republicans who don't want to stand up and actually say that drag queens are not for children, when we just heard this drag queen teaching little children how to twerk and sticking his butt in the air and wiggling it around in front of toddlers. Why, Paula, are Republicans too scared to say, hey, this is wrong, stop?
I understand. Apparently some folks think in a more libertarian way that, we should let the public libraries allow anything. If you start restricting drag queens, then you have to restrict Curious George Story Hour.
Come on. Come on.
I mean, I think that's the basic argument they're making. I don't agree with it because there obviously can be some limits, especially when it's age-appropriate, age-inappropriate content and programs for little children. Like we can't draw the line there.
No, I know. It's crazy, and I feel like it's a lack of spine to just stand up and say, hey, listen, I don't care what drag queens do in their adult entertainment, but this is not entertainment for children, for crying out loud. So to go after this representative because she happens to mention that Drag Queen Story Hour is a problem, I think is out of line. Can you tell everybody who's just finding PJ Media today, because I've had some interest in it, what do you think are the top stories on the site today that everybody needs to make sure they don't miss?
Well, we've got a story just up today about how one of the donors to President Trump, that the Castro guy, I don't know how to
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, yes.
Yeah, he is receiving threats. He got a threatening voicemail today, so that's
wonderful.
I think we're going to continue to see more of those. And we've got more on the story of the movie that...
The Hunt?
People threatening or hunting down Trump supporters or deplorables or whatever. And it's kind of funny to see that they're sort of spinning this like, oh, no, we're not talking about Trump supporters. It's just a general movie. They call them deplorables. But,
give me a break.
Last night, Snopes fact-checked it and said that they couldn't verify that that's what the movie's supposed to be about.
Couldn't verify. Okay. That is ridiculous because clearly, I mean, if the original title was Red State versus Blue State, I think we all know what's going on here. And I don't know why they think we are so stupid. But, okay. Well, seriously, this stuff is really starting to upset me. But people out there, you've got to get to PJ Media and read all about what we've got out there for you because you're not going to see it anyplace else. You're not going to see it on CNN. You're certainly not going to see it on MSNBC. Thank you, Paula Bollard, managing editor, for being here. I surely appreciate it. And I promise I'll get back to work as soon as this is done.
Yeah, you better get back to work. I'm watching. Thanks, Megan.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
What nonsense. I mean, okay, so now we know. I read you this article, Joaquin Castro, Democrat in Texas. He is the one who doxed a bunch of Trump donors, and now one of them is getting threatening messages. And these are the people who are telling Donald Trump he needs to pipe down his rhetoric. Really? Joaquin Castro is directly responsible now for one of the Trump donors getting threatened. That's a direct threat. He said they better think twice before supporting the president. What do you think that means? It's like saying, hey, that's a nice business you got there. It sure would be a shame if something happened to it. The guy is like a mobster. Call me on the Van Bortle Ford phone line and text line at 585-222-1180. Out-of-town listeners actually told me that we should include the area code, which is 585, so that you know. 222-1180, I am taking your calls. And right now, I just want to continue talking about the awful, the blame game. I think the blame game is out of control, and it's everybody else's fault but, the people who are actually doing the shooting, anyone who's actually breaking the law. We've got ICE doing raids in Mississippi on 4 different food plants, and everybody's screaming and crying because their parents are going to jail. Well, what happens when American parents go to jail? What happens to the kids? They go to CPS or they go to a relative because we have lots of parents in jail right now separated from their children. I don't understand why Americans are treated differently than illegal immigrants. Why are illegal immigrants getting more attention and more sympathy than anybody else? Yes, it's sad that children are being separated from their parents, but I blame their parents. Why the heck did their parents break laws that puts them in the sights of ICE? Don't do that. And you won't be separated from your children. It's pretty simple. Yet in the case of our American CPS system, we have children taking away from parents unlawfully without due process every single day. 450,000 of them are sitting in foster care right now, and lots of them want to go home. Does anyone care about them? So I would like to take your phone calls about this issue at the Van Bortle Ford phone and text line, 585-222-1180, 222-1180, and we will talk about it. I personally think that the violent rhetoric that we are seeing is all from the left. It's not coming from the right. And yet we have Trump supporters that go out to Baltimore and try and do a nice thing, right? They go and they do a nice thing. They clean up Baltimore. They clean up Elijah Cummings' district. They spend their own money, take 12 tons of trash out, and yet they are still being demonized by the press and the presidential candidates, the Democrats, calling Trump supporters and their hateful rhetoric, so-called, is responsible for mass shootings? I'm sorry, but this is and going after an Ohio lawmaker because she had the nerve to actually say that maybe some of this other stuff is to blame. Maybe there's like a lot of things. Maybe it's not just one thing. Maybe it's a ton of things going on. We'll be back to talk about more of this when we get back. I'm Megan Fox, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180. Welcome back to News Radio Wham 1180. I'm Megan Fox with PJ Media, sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. He's been out raising money for a good cause today for Special Olympics. So we are talking about the blame game, and there's a lot of blame to go around. But before we go back to that, Christina Lynn says, the amazing Christina Lynn says, that she has a clip she wants me to hear. I'm trusting you, Christina.
Okay, I mean, it's really short. I was waiting for a minute that we could that I could interject it, but it didn't.
Go for it, girl.
We're gonna play it now, and then maybe it'll naturally come resurface. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Always knew it's me.
And you.
No, it's just me.
Just me.
It's all about him.
It's all about him.
It was just.
Yes. Always knew it's me.
He's the winner.
Yeah, he's the winner.
That should be like the name of his album, I think. Didn't he do a dog jingle?
Oh, yeah. Don't I have that clip, too?
I think you do. No, you have the clip of Hannah's father talking about the dog, how he's so proud of his dog jingle. Smallhead Jed is very proud of his dog jingle. That's his big accomplishment in life. I don't know if we have that. Do we have that still?
I asked him what his accomplishments were up to this point, and he was very proud of the dog food jingle that he did, and
that's not what.
That's what he said he was, proud of, right?
I still can't believe that she chose him after that conversation with her father.
I know, right? She looked really embarrassed when that happened, like she should have known.
Well, your father is looking at you and saying, listen, you want to get married to this guy. I asked him what his biggest accomplishment was thus far, and he said a dog food jingle. And yet she goes, all right. Actually, you know what she did? She goes, oh no, now I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear direction from your papa. Like, the guy's not really got it going on.
If that was my father, I'd be like, you know what, you're right, he's done. And I would just leave.
I know, right? If that were my dad, I would also be, because I appreciate what my father has to say. He's a smart guy. He wants the best for me. If he was like, honey, this guy is going nowhere.
I asked him what his accomplishments were up to this point, and he was very proud of the dog food jingle that he did, and
that's not what.
That's what he said he was.
She's arguing.
Proud of, right?
She's arguing. That's not what he meant, or something. I don't know.
Always knew it's me.
Maybe that was the dog food jingle.
Maybe
his proposal.
Oh my gosh! Did he put the words to the dog food jingle? We never heard the dog food jingle.
I don't even know which dog food it was.
He probably never even
Maybe
wrote
it was
one.
thought dog.
Thought dog food. For your thought dog.
Always knew.
I'm done. I'll stop playing. I'm sure our listeners are pissed off at me now.
I know. Well, listen, if we can't talk about The Bachelorette when it's Girls' Day on the Bob Lonsberry show, what else can we talk about? But okay, we'll get serious again. I did find an article on Axios that actually is really upsetting to me because it says here that the Democrat candidates have now changed their language. They used to call Trump a white nationalist. They have now started calling him a white supremacist. Elizabeth Warren told the New York Times without hesitation that Trump gave white supremacists aid and comfort. He's done the wink and nod, she said. He has talked about white supremacists as fine people. That's a lie. The fine people thing is a lie. He's done everything he can to stir up racial conflict and hatred in this country. That's not even true. He never said that about white supremacists. He said it about the protesters who were there about the statues. He said there were fine people on both sides, those who wanted to take it down and those who wanted to leave it up. He then said, and I disavow any Antifa and white supremacists who came there to create violence and havoc. And so continuing this narrative that he said white supremacists are fine people is so upsetting to me. The Van Bortle Ford phone and text line is open at 222-1180. And if you're out of town, that's 585-222-1180. Give me a call. This part of the program is for you. So if you want to call me and talk about what we've talked about today, do it. Beto O'Rourke, the false Hispanic, told MSNBC that Trump made it very clear that he's a white supremacist, and you heard that clip we did earlier of him calling him a white supremacist. Bernie Sanders told CNN's Jake Tapper over the weekend that he believes Trump is a white supremacist. So they're using this white supremacist now, which is crazy because here's what Trump actually did say. Okay, let's look at what he actually did say. He told reporters on Wednesday that he's, and this is a quote, concerned about the rise of any group of hate, whether it's white supremacy, whether it's any kind of supremacy, whether it's Antifa, he said, whether it's any group of hate. He also disavowed the KKK many times. He disavowed David Duke many times. He even quit some club he was in because David Duke joined. He tweeted, the Dems' new weapon is actually their old weapon, one which they will never cease to use when they are down or run out of facts. Racism. They are truly disgusting. They even used it on Nancy Pelosi. I will be putting out a list of all people who have been so ridiculously accused. I'm glad, Mr. President. Keep at it, because these people have completely destroyed the word racism. It means nothing anymore, and all we should do at this point when we hear it is just ignore it, because it is clearly, and it's really doing a disservice to people who actually experience racism. This is a man, Donald Trump is a man who was given an award, several awards, for doing work in the black communities in Chicago. Jesse Jackson gave him an award. I mean, this is just, it's outrageous. All of these people, these race hustlers like Jesse Jackson and the other one, Al Sharpton, they all used to love getting their picture taken with Donald Trump back when he was a superstar billionaire in the 1980s. And they loved taking his money for their projects and the Rainbow Push Coalition and all that. And now they don't stand up for him and say that we've known this man for a very long time and he's not a racist. Alveda King is Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece. She was on Twitter telling people this president is not a racist. Do you think CNN is going to trumpet her all over the place? Are they going to repeat what she said ad nauseum all over the place? No, of course not. Because they have a narrative and they are going to push it, and it's really a dangerous narrative. If you ask me, they are the ones, the Democrats are the ones that are ginning up such crazy hatred that is causing people to lose their minds. How come no one is talking about the shooter who loved Elizabeth Warren and considered himself a social justice warrior? I think that was the Dayton guy. Yeah, Connor Betts. His girlfriend said he is not a Trump supporter. He likes Elizabeth Warren. Well, how come no one's blaming Elizabeth Warren? I don't see anybody who's playing the blame game talking about Elizabeth Warren. I mean, it's insane. It's not fair. It's not accurate, and it needs to stop. Not every person in this country is a racist. And I'm just getting so tired of it. Are you tired of it? Call me up and let me know. 585-222-1180 is the Van Bortle Ford and phone and text line. If you want to send a text, you can do that too. And there's an 800 number too in case you want to call, I don't know, toll free, 1-800-295-1180. Christina's laughing at me. Why are you laughing at me? You're laughing. I see you in there. I see you.
In case you want to call toll free. I mean,
Well, where did everybody go? There were people all
It's
over
Friday.
Oh, it's Friday. Oh, guess what I'm doing tonight?
Oh my gosh, what are you doing tonight?
I'm going to CMAC. I'm going to see Hootie and the Blowfish and Bare Naked Ladies.
That's going to be a beautiful night for that, too.
I know, I'm so excited. It was my birthday present.
Oh, when was your birthday?
April. Tax day.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, tax day. Can you believe that? Oh, look, the phone is ringing.
Yeah, but we got to
We don't know who. Oh, we're taking a break now. And then we come back. Is it listeners on the loose?
Then we're doing listeners.
All right, my favorite part. Okay, get ready for it, Rochester. I'm going to let you have 15 seconds to say whatever you want. On News Radio Wham 1180, I'm Megan Fox sitting in for Bob Lonsberry. We'll be right back.
Now, listeners on the loose with Bob Lonsberry on News Radio Wham 1180.
News Radio Wham 1180. You're on the line.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm calling to give you a couple examples of the Democratic leaders' hypocrisy.
You got 15 seconds, and unfortunately it's gone. News Radio Wham 1180. Be quicker.
Hey, I love the show, and I agree with you 100%.
Awesome. Thank you. News Radio Wham 1180. I have no idea what this is, but okay, thank you. News Radio Wham 1180.
Yes, abortion is really child sacrifice to the gods Baal and Asherah.
Amen. I agree. I absolutely agree. Modern child sacrifice. Welcome to News Radio Wham 1180. You're on the air.
Yes, you don't have to join a group to clean up Rochester or any other place you are. Just pick up what's around you wherever you are.
I love it. Good. I love it. Thank you very much. Welcome to the program, News Radio Wham 1180.
Yeah. Is it me?
Yeah.
Shannon Joy is a leftist all the way left of Billy Clinton.
Really? I don't know. I've sat with her quite a bit. I wouldn't call her a leftist. She's a little libertarian, but maybe not a leftist. News Radio Wham 1180.
Yeah, Bob, or ladies, Bob Pittman. I'm going to replace Bob when he comes back with you two, and he can be behind the glass from now on.
Ooh, I don't think that's not allowed. No. Bob's a great guy, and we love this show. Yes, we do. But, everybody's allowed their opinion here, but this is still the Bob Lonsberry Show. Alrighty, News Radio Wham 1180.
Hello?
Hello.
I guess our presidents have to be experts in numerology now in order to succeed. Thank you.
Yeah, 8 and 8 is the 8th letter in the alphabet, and it means H, and that could be Heil Hitler on, I'm going to fit my tinfoil hat here because, seriously. So, boy, what a fun time today. I really appreciate you guys having me. The listeners here are really something else. And, here's another one, News Radio, Wham 1180, you're on the air. Hello? No? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to say that my rights are being taken away as a Trump supporter because if I wear any of the gear, I'm done for.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Welcome to News Radio, Wham 1180. You're on the air.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, I just want to say God bless President Donald J. Trump and family, and God bless Mike Pence and family.
Well, that was very positive. I like that. Keep it positive, Rochester. News Radio, Wham 1180. How can I help you?
Megan, you perfectly articulate the thoughts and feelings of the silent majority. Outstanding.
Thank you so much. Gee, I really like the callers here in Rochester. You guys are the smartest people on earth. News Radio, Wham 1180. How can I help you?
Yeah, we're one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world. And I don't know if anybody noticed that we had our first black American president for 8 years.
I don't
so
think
how
anybody
racist
noticed.
can we be?
True. Very good point. News Radio Wham 1180. How can I help you?
Ted, congratulations on being a new homeowner. Yay!
Yay! News Radio Wham 1180. You're on the air.
Orange man, good.
I don't know what that was, but that scared me. I feel terrified.
He said orange man good.
Oh, orange man good. Okay. For a minute, I didn't understand a thing, but his tone of voice kind of scared me. There was some toxic masculinity there, but that's okay. I misunderstood. News Radio Wham 1180.
Yeah, Shannon Joy might not be left, but she's sure a loose cannon.
We like our ladies like that. We like them living on the edge, don't we, Christina? You know, we should be a little bit edgy.
Always knew it's me.
Christina's not going to stop doing that to me. But I love it. News Radio Wham 1180.
Roofers are always on top.
Who's on top? Roofers. Oh, he said roofers. Roofers are. That was a good joke. News Radio Wham 1180. Uh-oh. I think I did it wrong. News Radio Wham 1180. Now you're on. Sorry, that was my fault.
Oh, it's okay. I'm wondering if Christine might want to maybe go out on a date or something. I'm a pretty nice guy. Come over to my trailer, whatever.
I don't know what that was about. Let's move on. Listen, people. It is not appropriate to call here and ask Christina out. Okay? It's just not. It's not appropriate. Even on Listeners on the Loose.
I don't see people in general. Like when I go out in public, I don't make eye contact with random people. So therefore, I will never make time for other random people that I don't know ever. The only people I see are my cat and my other cat.
Let's keep it appropriate, people. News Radio Wham 1180. Be appropriate, please. There we go. Hello.
Listeners on the Loose, please.
Okay, your time is ticking away. Looks like we're not going to have any more time for you guys on hold. Sorry about that. I'm Megan Fox. I was sitting in for Bob Lonsberry today, and what an honor. Coming up on News Radio Wham 1180, Rush Limbaugh is next. I hope to see you guys again real soon.